Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An episode of the syndicated radio program Freedom USA, starring Tyrone Power, going back 70 years ago today, April 13th, 1952, and the man who committed suicide. And we thank you for tuning in on this Wednesday, Hump Day, 13th day of April, 103rd day of 2022, 262 days remaining in the year. Today is also the Ides of April, just so you know. That's what they say it is. On this date in 1902, James C. Penney opened his store in Kemmert, Wyoming. James C. Penney. J.C. Penney? Yeah, back in 1902. Jefferson Memorial dedicated in Washington on this date in 1943. It was the 200th anniversary of Jefferson's birth. Sidney Poitier winning the Best Actor Oscar on this date in 1964.
Winner is Sidney Poitier.
Because it is a long journey to this moment, I am naturally indebted to countless numbers of people. For all of them, all I can say is a very special thank you.
Sidney Poitier winning the Oscar for his performance in Lilies of the Field on this date in 1964. In 1970, an oxygen tank aboard Apollo 13 exploded, putting the crew into deadly peril.
Dane, we've got one more item for you when you get a chance. We'd like it to stir up your cryo tank. In addition, I have Shaft and Trunnion.
Okay.
For a look at the Comet Bennett if you need it.
Stand by. Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
Can say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem. Main B bus undervolt.
Roger, main B undervolt. Stand by, 13, we're looking at it.
We had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning there. And as I recall, main B was the one that had a amp spike on it once before.
Just ahead.
The interim here, we're starting to go ahead and button up the tunnel again.
The normal supply of oxygen, electricity, light, and water disrupted. Landing mission on the moon aborted. The astronauts and controllers on Earth scrambled to come up with emergency procedures. The crippled spacecraft continued to the moon, circled it, and began a long, cold journey back to Earth. In 1974, Western Union, in cooperation with NASA and Hughes Aircraft, launched the USA's first commercial geosynchronous communications satellite, Westar 1. And it was through those commercial satellites that many of you hear this program today. Harold Washington, elected on this date in 1983, is the first African-American mayor in Chicago's history. And in 2004, former FBI Director Louis Freeh testified before Congress that the FBI could have prevented 9/11 if they just had the tools.
September 11th, had we had the right sources overseas or in the United States, could have been prevented.
Former Attorney General Janet Reno also testified rules that restricted intelligence sharing made tracking terrorists difficult. And in 2007, the U.S. dropped the largest ever non-nuclear weapon on Nangarhar province in Afghanistan. Passing away on this date in history, the man who was Al Jolson in the Jolson story and Jolson Sings Again, Larry Parks, who, while he was a good entertainer, he was an admitted communist. Also, the father of the zip code, Postal Inspector Robert Moon, and Art Bell, broadcaster, author, founder, the original host of the paranormal-themed Coast to Coast AM. This is the birth date of President Thomas Jefferson, as we mentioned earlier, businessman F.W. Woolworth, outlaw Butch Cassidy, and the inventor of the Scrabble game, Alfred Mosher Butts. Also Nobel laureate Samuel Beckett, presidential candidate Harold Stassen, and he was a perennial candidate for years after his 40s runs. Howard Keel, actor, singer, president of the Screen Actors Guild. Atheist Madeline Murray O'Hare. Would you believe comedian Don Adams, born on this date? And from the Carol Burnett Show and Wonder Woman, Lyle Wagner, who passed away in 2020, 1 month short of his 85th birthday. This is birthday number 83 for Law & Order's Paul Sorvino, the man who wrote the music for Rocky, For Your Eyes Only, The Right Stuff, and Dynasty. He got an Academy Award for his music in The Right Stuff. Bill Conte, 80 years of age. Wally from Leave It to Beaver, Tony Dow is 77. Singer, pastor Al Green, 76. 2 Grammy Awards for Peebo Bryson, who turns 71 today. The drummer on the Conan O'Brien Show, and for Bruce Springsteen, Max Weinberg, 71. Also turning 71 today, the 5th Doctor Who, Peter Davidson. Russian chess player Garry Kasparov is 59. Hilda in the Sabrina Show, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the original, Carolyn Ray is 58. Silver Spoons, Ricky Schroeder, or I guess now he's Rick Schroeder. He's 52 years old. The man behind Mambo No. 5, Lou Bega, 47. A little bit of Monica in my life, a little bit of Erica by my side. A little bit of Rita is all I need. A little bit of Tina is what I see. A little bit of Sandra in the sun. A little bit of Mary all night long. A little bit of Jessica, here I am. A little bit of You Makes Me Your Man. Mambo No. 5. Well, it's worth, And from All My Children and Law & Order SVU, Kelly Giddish is 42. Those just a few of the people who celebrate the 13th day of April as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you!
And from 52 years ago today... April 13th, 1952, Tyrone Power in the radio program Freedom USA. That'll be coming up in just a few moments here on this Wednesday, Hump Day edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station.
Hi, this is Kyle Horvath with the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. If you want to get away from the big cities and get back to nature this summer, give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net. There's so much to do and see I can't mention it in 30 seconds, but check out our website and you'll see what Nevada is really all about. elinevada.net or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
From the 1930s to the 1950s, Tyrone Power was a major screen star. He was a matinee idol. He had been in his share of A and B and C movies. And quite frankly, the movies that he did the best in were the ones that were the least commercially successful. He was in The Mark of Zorro, Marie Antoinette, Blood and Sand, The Black Swan, Prince of Foxes, Witness for the Prosecution, The Black Rose, Captain from Castle. His own favorite film was the one that was well accepted, but a financial flop, and it was Nightmare Alley. And he did very well before the war. He went into the military during the war, and came back in the 50s. Didn't do as much screen work, and he did his biggest accolades as a stage actor in the 50s in John Brown's Body and Mr. Roberts. Ironically, it was one of his overseas roles that he took that led to his passing. He and his then-wife Deborah traveled to Madrid in September of 1958 and to film the epic Solomon and Sheba, directed by King Vidor, co-starring Gina Lollobrigida. He'd filmed about 75% of his scenes when he was stricken by a massive heart attack while filming a dueling scene with his frequent co-star and friend George Sanders. Doctor diagnosed the cause of Power's death as fulminant angina pectoris. He died while being transported to hospital on November 15th, 1958. At the age of just 44. We will hear one of the few radio roles that I know of that Tyrone Power played, and that is the syndicated series Freedom USA. This episode from April 13th, 1952, The Man Who Committed Suicide.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to hear the story of a United States Senator. You are going behind the scenes of political Washington, into the Senate chambers, the cloakrooms, the private offices, the meetings, secret and public. The locale, the background, are factual. Only the names and the stories are fictional. This is Freedom USA. Starring Tyrone Power as the Senator of the United States, and featuring the voice of America's distinguished news commentator and Washington authority, Edwin C. Hill. Freedom USA, the story of your government today. Now, we present Freedom USA, starring Tyrone Power as Senator Dean Edwards, and featuring the voice of Edwin C. Hill.
This is Edwin C. Hill, ladies and gentlemen, speaking to you from your nation's capital. Since a man is innocent until proved guilty by a jury of his peers, and since guilt by association, innuendo, and implication are police state methods and can destroy a man's reputation or his life's work, your Congressional Investigating Committee sometimes convene in closed session. The temporary chairman of one such investigating committee is young Senator Dean Edwards, and the committee, inquiring into possible fraud and collusion in the complex structure of the defense effort, is now in session behind closed doors without benefit of press or public. On the stand, nervous and with rapidly shifting eyes, Everett E. Callanan faces a barrage of questions.
Then there is the matter of your salary, Mr. Callanan, which amounts to $6,750 a year.
That's right.
You have been working for 14 years in Washington, and this is the highest level your salary has reached.
My salary, yes.
Your salary, yes. But you have other sources of income.
I have my accounting work in the evenings, on Sundays and holidays.
Astonishing, Mr. Callanan. It must be a very lucrative part-time employment. It provides you with a $35,000 home in Georgetown, 2 servants, 2 cars, 3 cars, counting your son's convertible, which he uses at college.
You make it seem like
fraud, Mr. Callanan.
Well, it's not true.
What is your part-time work?
I'm an accountant.
Who do you work for?
I don't see why I must tell you all of these things.
It was your privilege to have a lawyer present. You didn't want one.
I didn't have anything to hide.
Then do you now?
No, I don't have anything to hide.
Who are some of the concerns you work for part-time?
Different ones all the time.
Just give us a few names. Not all of them, just a few. Mr. Callanan, if you don't want to answer, you have recourse to the Fifth Amendment.
No.
You don't want to answer?
Yes, I'll answer anything. I haven't anything to hide, I told you.
Tell the committee. Tell us the names of some of the firms for whom you do part-time accounting work.
Century Construction Company, Apex Concrete Block Manufacturing, Fullerton Die Casting. Well, why do you pick on me? In your own mind, you've already convicted me without evidence, without
The
any...
reason we're conducting this hearing behind closed doors is to protect you, Mr. Callanan.
Protect me from what? Slander, smear? There's no protection against that. What have I done?
You've been mixed up in several contract awards which were not in the best interests of our defense efforts.
Yes, you keep on saying that, but it isn't true. There's only one mistake that I made. That was 14 years ago, coming here to Washington, trying to be patriotic, working for a small salary when I could be making 5 times as much in private industry.
Oh, you really made sacrifices. Your whole family has suffered.
I'll tell you now, my reputation is as important to me as yours is to you, any of you. Destroy my reputation, you might as well destroy me.
Maybe you destroyed it yourself, Mr. Callanan. We want to learn how the Fullerton Die Casting Company got an allotment of steel for non-defense orders. Can you tell us that?
I don't know how.
We want to know how another company you work part-time for, one you didn't mention, Sabre Construction Company, how they bought 6 million tons of steel scrap when the steel industry itself couldn't find any to purchase.
How would I know?
Maybe it's just coincidence you work for them.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Callanan. We've been seeking your cooperation on a matter that's vital to the nation's safety. You've been very reluctant. Now we're going to turn you over to the proper authorities for investigation. We're going to find out all about you. We're going to find out how much you paid for your breakfast 6 years ago Wednesday morning, what you ate, and where you got the money to pay for it. That's all for now, Mr. Callanan.
What about it, Senator?
Nothing yet.
Are you through questioning him? Certainly you can tell us that.
We're through for now.
Then we can quote you as saying he's cleared?
No, you can't.
Well, that must mean you've turned his case over to the T-men.
Kincaid, you ought to know better. No comment.
No comment necessary, Senator. Thanks for the yarn. Be seeing you around.
But Kincaid, I don't want...
Thanks again, Senator. Got some typing to do.
Well, it's busted loose. The papers are full of you, Mr. Callanan.
Yes, I know, Judge Parker, and I don't like it.
Huh?
Well, the reporters have saddled Callanan with the burden of guilt even before trial. Even before investigation, really. Might just as well not have been a closed session.
See what you mean?
I don't like being part of this guilt by association.
Well, keep thinking like that, Dean, and you'll ruin your digestion. You aren't part of it. You can't control what the papers want to publish.
Well, they can be awfully cruel.
Well, don't think they're out of line in this case. Callanan's guilty, isn't he?
Huh? Oh, sure. Of course he's guilty.
Sorry, the senator hasn't arrived yet. No comment. Good morning, Senator.
Who was that?
Another reporter.
Oh, another reporter.
Seen the papers this morning, Senator?
No, Ginger, I saw them last night. If Senator Raleigh calls, tell him...
He's already called 3 times.
What?
You ought to look at the morning papers, Senator.
What's so...
Here, read it for yourself.
Suicide.
Uh-huh.
Kill himself. Why did he kill himself?
There must have been depths of corruption you didn't even begin to touch.
Callanan said, if you destroy my reputation, you might just as well destroy me.
One thing, there's no doubt now about his guilt. An innocent man doesn't commit suicide.
Destroy his reputation? We tried to protect him. The papers...
Senator, you don't believe you're in any way responsible.
The headline last night said, Senator Edwards gets Callanan. I got him all right, didn't I, Ginger? Thanks. Here you are.
Evening, Senator.
Oh, hello, Kincaid. I didn't see you there in the shadows.
I've been trying to find you all day. Had to waylay you here in front of your residence.
No comment on Callanan's suicide, Kincaid.
Okay. Kinda hit you, Senator.
Kinda.
Self-recriminations and all that.
Yes.
Why?
Now, you should know better than I. Tell me, Kincaid, don't you have any twinges of conscience?
No.
It can't be that you're tough.
No, practical. Because I wrote some stories about Callanan. I write stories every day. If I had to worry whether or not some crackpot would go out and kill himself because of what I'd written, I'd give up my job.
Is that advice for a freshman senator?
No. Now, what makes you so darn sensitive? He was guilty, wasn't he?
That isn't the point, Kincaid.
How do you know what the point is? Maybe you don't even know 1/10 of the things he's guilty of.
I don't know anything. I only suspect.
Yeah. Well, unless the guy's sick, he isn't going to kill himself if he's innocent.
Is that why he took his life? Because he was sick?
I don't know all the reasons.
It couldn't be that because of the newspapers, the people of the country believed him guilty, and that was the same as if he were guilty.
If it bothers you, find out.
It couldn't be that he felt his life, his career, everything he'd worked for was ruined, whether he was really guilty or not.
Like I said, why don't you find out?
I'm going to, Kincaid. Thanks.
Yes?
Mrs. Callanan, may I speak with you for a few minutes?
Who are you?
Senator Edwards.
Oh, all right, come in.
Thank you. Mrs. Callanan.
Senator, please don't commiserate with me.
I came here to...
Will you sit down?
No, thank you. I won't take up much of your time. I only wanted to tell you that regardless of whether your husband was guilty or not...
It just happens he wasn't.
April 13th, 1952, Freedom USA on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
And you're tuned into Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite station on this Wednesday, and an episode of Freedom USA starring Tyrone Power, as it was originally broadcast Sunday, April 13th, 1952. In the newspapers of that Sunday 70 years ago, these were some of the headlines. A group of Republican senators accusing President Truman of illegal seizure of the nation's steel mills moved Saturday to force a Senate investigation of the group. The group, led by GOP floor leader Bridges of New Hampshire, drafted a resolution to hand such a study to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator McCarran, the Democrat of Nevada, long at odds with the White House, heads that committee. Meanwhile, the government was reportedly to be considering the possibility of giving a down payment wage boost to Philip Morris steelworkers, pending agreement on a new contract between the industry and the CIO union. Allied troops reoccupied 3 hills on the Eastern Front at dawn Saturday, 6 hours after they were forced off the position by a Chinese Red attack. Fighting built up in tempo all along the 15-mile battlefront as communist troops resumed probing assaults. Bad weather, however, grounded 5th Air Force planes on Saturday. Presidential candidates of both parties gratefully took a brief Easter recess Sunday, with most of them hoping the rising tide of Eisenhower headlines would subside by Monday when they resumed their coast-to-coast campaigns. The announcement that General Dwight D. Eisenhower is retiring from his Allied Defense Command in Europe and the reaction that followed swamped newspaper front pages and choice spots on radio and television newscasts during the weekend. Christian worshipers of all faiths and beliefs joined in observance of Easter Sunday today at special services commemorating the rebirth of the Lord Jesus Christ. In many areas, the devout and those whose faith sometimes may be uncertain gathered together for the spiritual reawakening that occurs to nearly everyone at Easter and Christmas times. The threat of an immediate nationwide telephone strike vanished late Saturday, but union officials indicated they were ready to declare the Bell system strike-bound if labor settlements aren't reached soon in 3 states. Joseph A. Byrne, president of the CIO Communications Workers Union, met all day with top union officials, then emerged with this statement. Some movement by the company in negotiations since the Michigan settlement has caused the CWA to defer action on a nationwide strike call. The Michigan settlement this week brought an average 12.7 cent wage boost for an estimated 18,000 Bell System workers, but 33,000 Bell workers are still out in New Jersey, Ohio, and Northern California. Bolivia's bloody 3-day revolt apparently ended yesterday, with the rebels victorious and most of the defeated government regimental officers held prisoner. A 1/3 reduction in airplane fares to Europe goes into effect May 1st. Already, the bargain buyers are queuing up at the ticket counters. For the summer, the round-trip fare between New York and London will be $486, a savings of $225 from the current rate, and next November 1st, the off-season rate goes into effect, $69 cheaper still. And those some of the day's top news stories is reported in the newspapers of Sunday, April 13th, 1952, on your radio, Freedom USA, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Well, what I wanted to say was that regardless of whether he was or wasn't, it was unfair to condemn him the way the press did.
All right, Senator. I understand you.
And if there's anything...
No, nothing.
Well, thank you.
You don't want to know the truth, though, do you?
Do you know the truth, Mrs. Callanan?
I've lived with Everett for 22 years. Do you think that should qualify me as an expert on the kind of man he was?
Yes, perhaps it does.
He never did a dishonest thing in his life. Everything he did for me, for the children, was to protect us. Even
this last thing he did?
He wrote a note. Do you want to read it, Senator Edwards?
I
think you should. You were the chairman of the Senate committee, weren't you? I think you should. Here.
In the interests of you, my dear, and of our children, this then is the better way. Not that I am guilty or ashamed of a single thing I have done, but because there will be no peace in life if I continue on. I am guilty only by smear, But the suspicions and innuendos will continue as long as I live, no matter how completely I am cleared. This way I clean the slate for you and the children. This way is the only way now.
Still think he's guilty, Senator?
I think the press should see this.
Why? To hurt you? To hurt others? Will it bring everything?
I think it should be publicized. May I?
Do you think any of it matters to me?
It matters a great deal to me.
My son. My daughters.
It matters to them, too. May I?
I didn't want to prolong it all. I don't want his name dragged down and down.
When the newspapers publish this letter, I don't think it will drag your name down. But it may drag others down. Maybe my own. Because I'm guilty now.
Tyrone Power, Freedom USA, April 13th, 1952. The conclusion next on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just 2 of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
On Thursday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Bold Venture starring 2 of the brightest stars in Hollywood, Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, also from 72 years ago, April 14th, 1952. Sailor is a wealthy widow. Freddie Nye walks into Shannon's place and announces that Sailor, Lauren Bacall, is his wife, and Nye is promptly shot and killed. That'll be coming up on Thursday's Classic Radio Theater. But now the conclusion of Freedom USA starring Tyrone Power. And by the way, I know this show is a little noisy, a little more poppy and crackly than we like to have on the show. But I think it's important that you hear a gentleman who is one of Hollywood's brightest screen stars and stage stars in a way that he was very seldom seen on radio. From 70 years ago, April 13th, 1952. Freedom USA.
Now, back to Tyrone Power, starring as Senator Dean Edwards in Freedom, USA, and the second act of our story.
Edwin C. Hill, ladies and gentlemen, and the latest developments in the Callanan case. Here on Capitol Hill, with the publication of Everett Callanan's suicide note, the shift in public opinion continues, gaining strength with each passing hour. For now, there are those who come boldly forth to say what a prince of a fellow Callanan was. There are those with whom he worked, who knew all along that Callanan never was guilty, that his honesty and integrity were always of the highest order. Well, maybe it's human nature to be forgiving, and perhaps it's human nature to always jump on the bandwagon, but this tragedy may serve a useful function to make all of us more careful about pointing the finger of accusation.
Flight 23 leaving at gate 7. Flight 23 at gate 7.
Senator Edwards' office, good afternoon.
Ginger,
Oh, hello, Senator. I have some messages here.
They'll
for
have
you.
to wait, Ginger.
Aren't you coming back to the office today?
No, that's what I called you about. I'm going to be out of town until Friday.
Out of town?
My plane's loading now.
But what'll...
In case anything important comes up, you can reach me at the Apex Concrete Block Manufacturing Company. You have the address.
Yes. All right, Senator. Happy landing.
Goodbye, Ginger. As general manager of Apex, Mr. Carter, you must have known Everett Callanan.
Yes, I know him.
What was the nature of his work for you?
He set up our present system of bookkeeping.
Uh-huh. How long ago was this, Mr. Carter?
About 18 months ago.
You paid him for his work?
Yes.
Do you have access to information that will tell me exactly how much you paid him?
Yes, it was $6,500. I looked it up yesterday for the Treasury men.
The T-men?
Yes, they're investigating all of Callanan's activities. Maybe we can save a lot of time, Senator. I can tell you in a few words everything I told them.
Oh, please.
Callanan performed a service for us. I might say the money we paid him was well spent. When he was finished, he got his check. We haven't been in contact with him since.
I see. And his work had only to do with your auditing system?
Only? It's quite an only. Our business runs with twice the efficiency. It was more than 5 months after Callanan had completed his work for us that we entered bids for defense contracts. He had absolutely no connection whatsoever with those bids, then or since.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. That's what I wanted to find out. Hello, Ginger?
Where are you, Senator? You said you'd be at Apex, and the operator said you're calling...
I had to make a few more stops, Ginger. I'm taking the night plane back to Washington.
All right, Senator. See you in the morning.
Senator, this is off the record. I'm not a reporter, and you aren't talking for publication. This office we're sitting in is in limbo somewhere, and Ginger's not letting any calls come in. Now what?
Still no twinge of conscience, Kincaid?
No.
I proceeded on the assumption Callanan was guilty. If I had a twinge about his exposure when I was sure he was guilty, how do you think I feel now that evidence points to his innocence?
You had a job to do. You did it.
All I can think of is a man taking his life.
All right, so what are you going to do?
I don't know.
Well, I suggest with the frame of mind you're in, you don't do anything for a while. You'll need a little perspective.
I guess I need something.
Coming. Well, Dean, come in.
Good evening, Judge.
You look tired, son. Sit down.
Thanks.
Tried to get in touch with you since you got back from your trip. What have you been doing?
Thinking.
That's what I figured.
On my trip, Judge, visiting factories and defense plants, I learned I was instrumental in condemning an innocent man.
So now you think you're not entitled to be in a position of trust, a position where you can cause so much suffering.
Well, I've been thinking about it.
Have you thought about all the good you do also? Dean, I know exactly how you feel and how you think. That comes to all of us, these moments of doubt. Are we doing the right thing? Are we in the course of our duties creating suffering or injustice?
I've already created it, Judge.
You're a man of conscience and humility, Dean. That's good. They're good qualities. But you mustn't let them destroy your objectivity.
Objectivity. Perspective. They're nice words.
Dean, I remember a time I was sitting in judgment on a particularly complex civil suit. The evidence, both pro and con, was convincing, and I knew I'd be forced to make a decision, and that decision might be the wrong one.
I would think it'd weigh heavily.
It did. And I can't say to this day I made the right decision. The decision Solomon might have made, or an omnipotence greater than mine might have made. But I was presiding, and it was my job to make it.
Uh-huh.
Afterwards, a friend said to me, you made your decision based on your own convictions, honesty and integrity. Why then have all these doubts and worries and attacks of conscience?
Now, Judge, as always, you have words of comfort.
And I suppose they make a little sense, too.
Suppose I think I'm doing the right thing and it turns out wrong. Can I turn my head away? Does that relieve me of all responsibility?
Dean, do you expect to go through life without making a single mistake?
I hope I never make another one like this.
Hi, Ginger.
Hello, Kincaid. Looking for the senator?
Mm-hmm. Okay if I go in?
He's not there. Hasn't been in much last few days.
Hit him pretty hard, hmm?
Pretty.
Growing pains.
Kincaid.
It's got to be growing pains. He lets it get him down. It'll warp his whole outlook. Where is he now?
He got a call from the Treasury Bureau. He's over there. I only hope they've got some good news for a chip.
So far, incomplete. But we've covered nothing in connection with any reputable concern which smells of fraud or collusion.
That's what I found out. Callanan gets a clean bill of health. With those I've been able to contact, anyway.
Some you weren't able to contact?
Yes, one was Townley.
Townley Griggs Incorporated.
That's right, and
Acme Fowler?
It sounds like I duplicated your work.
Those companies and a few more are now defunct.
I guess Callanan's genius at bookkeeping and auditing didn't help them.
About Callanan's income tax returns, we've checked them against payments and royalties from concerns now in business.
All in order.
All in order.
Well, Mr. Ferguson, I guess we can save the taxpayers further expense. Let's call off the investigation.
This thing has stood up a lot of publicity, Senator.
I should think it has. Now, at least for the sake of Callanan's family, we ought to let it die down.
Maybe for the taxpayers' sake, we better keep on.
What do you mean?
These defunct corporations, Senator. Callanan did work for them, but he never reported any income.
Was he paid?
Well, we'll have to make a complete check. Might take 2 or 3 years to get the full story.
But you suspect?
More than suspect, Senator. Those corporations are what we call the Johnny-come-latelys, the get-rich-quickers. They've been plaguing the defense effort. On the books of several of them, we find the name of Everett Callanan. Not as an employee, but as an executive.
Oh?
Yeah, he was a clever man with a book, Senator. He could make them sit up and do handsprings. Mind you, I'm not making any accusations, but I think it would be worthwhile continuing the investigation.
I see. Well...
Also, we received word from our special investigators just this morning.
Special investigators?
Well, you set the wheels in motion, Senator, remember? Mrs. Callanan has several safety deposit boxes in New York City banks.
Mrs. Callanan?
Under her maiden name, but they're hers, all right. Contain quite a bit of cash. Bills in large denomination. I heard you've been under the weather, Senator.
There seems to be a slight clearing of the clouds. And the reason he committed suicide...
Well, the way I see it, he was probably trying to stop the investigation, protecting his family, and the money his wife had hidden away. I guess you can relax now, Senator.
On the contrary, Mr. Ferguson. Callanan might have been innocent. I'll never forget that. As long as I hold other people's lives and reputations in my hands, I'll never forget it.
This is Edwin C. Hill, ladies and gentlemen. With the team men and special investigators continuing to probe Everett Callanan's activities, once again the committee headed by Senator Dean Edwards is in session. The investigation into fraud and collusion in connection with defense mobilization will continue. In an interview with this commentator just an hour ago, Senator Edwards said, and I quote, "I am gratified that the committee has been vindicated in the case of Everett Callanan. We have always tried to operate for the protection of the accused. From now on, we're going to be doubly careful," unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to add that the Callanan case has served to underscore the fact that we can all be grateful for the courage and devotion to duty of public servants like Senator Dean Edwards.
This is Tyrone Power. I like America because it really is the land of the free and the home of the brave. Free in thought, free in speech, free indeed. Brave in spirit, brave in battle, and brave in conception. As long as the free and the brave continue to go hand in hand, there will be no place for those who try to use our freedoms for their own purposes, to take them away from the rest of us. Let's keep it this way. Freedom and bravery side by side, enriching and nourishing each other.
70 years ago, April 13th, 1952, Freedom USA, starring Tyrone Power on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for listening. If you miss a day, you can always catch up with our shows at classicradio.stream. Please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. Most importantly, tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.